Hey guys, today is going to be kind of like a story time. It's going to be where I say why I quit my job with this company because a lot of things have came to light as of lately and I really just wanted to kind of express my feelings so then that way for someone who is at a company in a situation like I was in, then you feel more confident, comfortable knowing that you can just leave. Or for say if you're potentially looking at working for a company similar to mine, these are some things you'll want to take into account. Just a few days ago, I had actually quit my job with this company. We'll call them Smellular, Cell for short. So I had been with Cell for 3 years and 2 weeks exactly. I put in my 2 weeks. I rode my full 2 weeks out. I was there my entire last shift. Finally, there had gotten a point that so many things had built up that I was finally done, and I feel like I did what was best for me to leave this company, and the company did nothing to accommodate me, did nothing to make me want to stay, didn't go above and beyond by any means, but however, they supposedly care very much about their employees, which I will list as to why I don't believe so. So I had started working at Cell, like I said, 3 years and 2 weeks ago, and I was originally in my hometown location, and I had been there for a year and a half, give or take, and I had a manager who was very passive, didn't try to help our sales grow, he just expected, but I don't know how like someone who hadn't been in sales as long or knows the ins and outs, how they would be able just to fly on by no problems. He didn't do his job, and so I had asked him multiple times, I'm like, hey, I don't want to be in this store anymore. There's other locations that are currently open for spots. I would like to transfer into that position. Every time I would get a no. And it wouldn't be like I get to talk to that other store's managers and they tell me no. It was just this manager that I had strip, no. So I actually had gone above him and went to a different store manager and discussed me wanting to transfer. And that store manager partnered up with our district manager who went out of their way to get me transferred when there were a couple things in play as far as why I shouldn't have. I'd finally gotten transferred. I felt like I was in a better atmosphere, I was in a better environment, and I was going to be happier. A lot of life changes had occurred, and I knew that this, at this time, was what I needed to do. So I started working up here, and I didn't have any issues, and then slowly it's kind of trickled. They switched managers at one point, another manager got fired, and the one manager who's there consistently is not a great manager by any means. He didn't make sure that everything got done and taken care of. He basically just looked on his phone and surfed the internet all the time, and then when another manager would be around, then he would like put on his big boy pants and step up to the plate and pretend to be a manager as far as what he thought being a manager was, because everything that he showed us made it seem like we absolutely should not trust him or acknowledge him as a superior manager because he didn't know what he was doing. I stated this opinion with multiple managers, and I don't know if it's because I was a girl. I'm not sure if it's because I express my feelings sometimes, but apparently they didn't take me seriously or they didn't care enough. So then as other associates start to state this same opinion about this same manager who still doesn't know how to do his job, then they start to listen. So that's kind of already a little annoying and troublesome. If I had put in that complaint, shouldn't they ask around or maybe take my word for it and try to catch him when he's not being a manager? I was originally going to transfer to a third store. This third store would be out of state. The manager at that store did a phone interview and everything started very well, and then it hit a point where she basically made it seem that she had been in my position and got promoted. Everyone she worked with is gone now because they either got fired or they quit. She has this whole new little crew that she is in charge of and does everything exactly the way she wants it through this procedure and so on and so forth. So I was already a little uncomfortable with that comment, and I'm like, I'm still gonna go. I have obligations, so on and so forth. And Then she gives me my schedule. She gives me a revised schedule, but this time it said training on it. I asked her, I said, what training is this? Because you have me closing the store, doing this training, and then opening. So I was very confused, especially because if I worked until 6 p.m. one night, the training was 3 hours away, and then the training would be at like 7 a.m., and then 7 hours or 3 hours back for driving, and then had to open the store. So the hours that she had given me really didn't add up or make any sense. And so when she told me that this training was actually for new hires, I told her no. I went back to my original manager and said, hey, I don't want to transfer anymore. Can you figure this out for me? And he was very cool and accommodating. And so I very much appreciated that he had, I think it's because he not only didn't want to have to worry about hiring somebody to fill his spot, but knew that I do my job well. And so he made it work, and I very much appreciated that, and I felt really bad that I'd put in my 2 weeks. Not long after that, I mean, long enough, but we'd made a talk where it seemed like I wasn't going to transfer or quit for a good while, potentially to get promoted. That was the end goal, and I did not. What kind of set me off were a series of events in which I don't think I would ever go back to this company. It went from me transferring from my home location to the new location. My checks were more than double because I was in a better atmosphere with better training and better coworkers. And then they changed the commission structure. So I had made a fairly large chunk of change, and then it got changed. But our hourly got increased, so they thought it was okay. So then we worked this commission structure, and then it finally got to a point where they changed it again. And everybody is significantly making less than what they're used to. At this point in which that commission structure change happened and I realized how much money I was losing, I had my main manager on medical leave. I did not have 2 normal managers because one was fired and they hadn't filled that spot. She was still in training because she was transferring from another store where she was part-time doing mediocre to, fairly decent. She's not like #1 in her store by any means. Threw her into our store. We were all pretty dumbfounded when we found out she was part-time and not like the top person in her store. So we have a missing manager because she's in training getting all that done. And so this fill-in like main store manager, she's currently like a position down, a sales manager, and she's so by the book. I got in trouble for putting blue in my hair. Even though I talked to HR about it a year ago, and they okayed little fun things as long as it's not bright and obnoxious all over. And so that was kind of annoying, and my main manager was on medical leave, and we were basically down a manager because someone was training, and we have a ship manager, and then the commission change, and it was finally getting to me where I'm just like, I come into the store, I feel like my whole energy is just drained, like I have none because this store just sucks the life out of me. I'm miserable, I'm unhappy. I've got to do something about it. And I decided I would just go ahead and make the change and just leave and do whatever I decide to do. Go in blindly because I can't stay with a company who doesn't appreciate me. Going forward, I'd officially put in my 2 weeks. My manager, who was on medical leave, went out of his way to call me, and I was actually traveling for, there's a state fair that we send people to and they work at. Called me, and I was driving, and so he had texted me. He's like, hey, I saw you put in your 2 weeks. Can we talk about it? And I gave him a gist of a few different things, and there wasn't much said after that. So then I talked to the lady who's a fill-in store manager of ours and stated my opinions about the store. She didn't really care. I mean, it's not her permanent store, but it was kind of annoying. Our district manager had actually came in on the last day of my last shift. Didn't really say anything to me. I had a coworker who that same district manager when he put in his 2 weeks, the district manager said, "I'll do whatever it takes to get you to stay here." That kid had been here 1 year, and I've had 3. So that was already a red flag. And then they offered him a sales manager position if he stayed. Again, I mean, our numbers are pretty equal. We both expressed leadership potential that we wanted. And then what I had just found out is our district's manager went down to this associate and wanted to see what he could do to get him to stay. Nobody did shit to get me to stay. Nobody expressed how much they appreciated the 3 works that I'd been in, where people go to me for all questions all the time. I did floor sets. I went above and beyond as much as I could in the things that I knew were important, and they did nothing for me. I think this company is a joke. They had HR call me and ask me all my opinions about everything, and she just seemed disinterested. It is so irritating for a male who has lesser time with the company and does about the same things that I do, gets begged and pleaded by 3 different levels of management for him to stay, and then potentially give him a promotion just to stay, to me, who's been here for 3 years, is more knowledgeable, is more willing, more wanting, and I get shafted. You know, there's a few other circumstances that are going on in my life in which also pushed me to make this big move and quit. I just think this company just didn't do enough for me. And it's very sad, and I feel like it's because I'm a girl. I feel like in a CEO company, they lean more towards males. So, yeah, that's why I quit my job, because that place is a joke.